From today, the government could shut down if lawmakers in the Senate don't work out a solution. Right now, live look here, Capitol Hill, where lawmakers are actually on recess until Monday, only giving them about 48 hours to come to an agreement. Now, if a looming shutdown feels like a broken record, there is a reason. But why is that?
Well, we're going to break it down into 3 things you need to know. Thing 1, why are shutdown threats happening so often? Congress has the power of the purse, which means they need to decide how they use that power. Lawmakers, especially in recent years, have been at odds over government spending. Oftentimes, they end up passing what's known as a continuing resolution, a short-term spending bill that allows the government to continue operating while final appropriations are worked out. CRs can last anywhere from just a few days to a full year.
All right, thing 2, where do things stand right now? Well, last week, the House of Representatives nearly passed that CR, that continuing resolution, to keep the government funded for several more weeks. Now, in the Senate, the path forward is bumpy.
And my office is right here. Chuck's is right here. It's very easy for him to come to here, or to say, we need to have a conversation.
Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune last week saying he's open to negotiating about the current bill. Democrats say they want to reverse Medicaid spending cuts and they want to extend subsidies for the Affordable Care Act. And today, Thune said he is willing to discuss it, but says it should not be tied to this. Democrats say they are waiting and willing to negotiate. Party leaders did request to meet with President Trump this week, and he agreed to that. But shortly thereafter, the president canceled the meeting, saying he didn't think it would be productive, leaving Democrats frustrated.
Mr. President, if you're watching television, shut it off and come sit down and negotiate with us.
And thing 3, what happens if the government does shut down? The world doesn't stop, but there are consequences. Federal workers could be furloughed or be required to work without pay. Now, this includes TSA employees and air traffic controllers, active duty military, federal law enforcement, and even power grid maintenance workers. National parks and the Smithsonian museums will also close.
Do want to note, though, some services will continue. You take a look here. Some of those include Social Security checks. They're going to keep coming. Medicare, Medicaid services keep rolling. Services with Veterans Affairs, those continue as well. The Postal Service also continues. Your mail will arrive in your mailbox because the Postal Service is self-funded. By the way, the most recent government shutdown, that was from December 22nd, 2018 to January 25th, 2019. At 35 days long, it is the longest shutdown in U.S. history. The clock is ticking. About a week to go. We'll be watching it for you.
All right, well, thanks so much for watching us. We're going to be back for On Your Side tonight, tomorrow at 7:30.